Hey guys, Skellington80 here. So today we are back for day 22 of 25 Days of Monsters. We're in the home stretch and it's almost over, but you can always go back and rewatch the videos, I suppose. Relive the memories if you like them, which I hope you do. And today we have the story of the Rakshasas from Folk Tales of Bengal by Lal Bahari Day, 1883. The category is giants. Base of operations is Bengal, India. When is a long time ago. Powers are shape-shifting. Most dastardly deed is depopulating whole regions by eating everyone in sight. And the fear factor is 4, even though that's kind of relative from person to person. And this is one of my favorite illustrations in the entire book. Look at this. This thing is absolutely huge, and it definitely looks like something that could eat an entire country's worth of people if it so chose to. I mean, look at how small those people are in comparison to it. That's just freaky. Tim Seibert, you are an artistic genius. Love you, man. Alright. One day in ancient Bengal, a young man named Champadal came across a magnificent palace that appeared to be completely empty. He wandered through the rooms, but though they were all richly furnished, he did not see a single human being. Tucked away in one nook, however, was the corpse of a princess lying next to 2 scepters, one of silver and one of gold. When Champadal tapped the princess with the silver scepter, nothing happened. When he tapped her with the gold one, though, the dead woman awoke. She told him her name was Keshavati and that he was in terrible danger, for the palace was surrounded by no less than 700 Rakshasas. Rakshasas and Rakshasas, a Rakshasa was male, a Rakshasi a female, were huge giants and giantesses, or rather demons, that plagued Bengal. The word literally means raw eaters, and these giants craved raw flesh, especially that of humans. Every morning, the giants would leave the palace in search of food and not come home until evening. They had already eaten the former king, Keshavati's father, as well as her whole family, the royal court, and every human who lived nearby. Jeez, she must have had terrible survivor's guilt. I mean, seriously, how can you not feel at least somewhat sad after you lose all the people in your life like that and are basically kept as a pet by a race of vicious giants? Yeesh. She definitely had it pretty bad, I will admit, but don't worry, things will get better. They were unstoppable. Not only were there 700 of them, but not one of them could be killed. Swords, arrows, elephant tusks, everything just bounced off them harmlessly, for they hid their souls someplace secret, far away from their bodies, and were practically immortal. Princess Keshavati was the only human for miles around, and she was only still there because one particular aged Rakshasi had taken a shine to her and kept her as a servant. Every morning before she left to go eat people, the Rakshasi tapped Keshavati with the silver scepter, killing her, and in the evening she tapped her with the gold scepter and brought her back to life. Champadal thought this sounded like a very unpleasant lot to endure, but he had little time to dwell on that because it was almost evening, and soon 700 Rakshasas would be returning. So he killed Keshavati with the silver scepter and hid himself in a nearby temple. Sure enough, just then 700 Rakshasas came home for their hunting and predatory excursions, and the old Rakshasi came to Princess Keshavati's room, brought her to life with the silver scepter, and said, "Hi, my Kai, a human being I smell." Keshavati persuaded the monster that she only smelled her, the princess, and this seemed to appease the Rakshasi, who flopped down, and her huge body looked like a part of the Himalaya mountains. She soon fell asleep, and in the morning she killed Keshavati again and left once more. When Champadal emerged from hiding that day, he brought the princess back to life, and the 2 of them cooked up a plan. That evening he killed her again and returned to the temple. In came the old Rakshasi, and after tapping the princess with the gold scepter, she said once more, "Hi, my Kai, a human being I smell." But Princess Keshavati distracted the old Rakshasi with tears and pretended that she was worried, for her mistress was very old, and soon she might die, and the other Rakshasas would eat her body raw. The Rakshasi just laughed and told Keshavati not to worry. She said that her life and the lives of the other 700 Rakshasas were guarded by a secret which no human being can unravel. There was a well in the palace, she explained, and at the bottom of that well was a crystal pillar, and on the crystal pillar lived 2 bees. If anyone ever managed to dive into the water, swim to the pillar, seize the bees, bring them to the surface, and destroy them so that not a drop of their blood falls to the ground, for if a single drop of it falls to the ground, then from it will start up 1,000 Rakshasas. If anyone were to do all that, then sure, all the Rakshasas would die. But what were the odds of anyone pulling off such a feat? The Rakshasas were perfectly safe. Then the Rakshasi went to sleep, and in the morning she killed the princess and left. Imagine having to remember all that. I'd either have to write it down, or continuously be asking, wait, what happens next? Wait, what do I do next? Oy. Yeah, I wouldn't make a very good hero, to say the least. So Champadal brought the princess back to life, and she told him the secret. Right away he found the well, placed a knife and a pile of ashes beside it, and dived in. When he came out, bees in hand, he picked up the knife and chopped off their little heads over the ash pile. Their bee blood fell not on the ground, but on the ashes. And at that very moment, the bees were killed, all the Rakshasas died, and their carcasses fell on the very spot in which they were standing. One huge Rakshasa corpse blocked the door of the palace, and Champadal and Princess Keshavati had to climb up through a window to get out. Of course, they got married and had many adventures over the years, most of them involving hungry Rakshasas. Maybe the thing with the bees only covered the 700 in the palace, but whatever. These stories very rarely make logical sense. And here we have several more illustrations of Rakshasas. And I have to admit, the one on the right, the top right corner, with the red skin and ox-like horns is my favorite. That one's just cool. Alright. Beyond the book. Collecting folklore. Lal Bahari Day was a writer and editor in India when it was part of the British Empire, despite the efforts of Captain Nemo, who was from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which was like day 4. A native of the Bengal region, he became famous for a novel he wrote in English about Bengali life. Day was the only Bengali writer many British people had ever read. One British soldier wrote to Day, asking if he could also produce a collection of those unwritten stories which old women in India recite to little children in the evenings. And Day had read Grimm's fairy tales and other similar collections from other lands, so he thought he could do the same thing for Bengal. He traveled around the area collecting folk tales from peasants, which he then translated into English. The 19th century was a golden age of folklore collections, and anthropologists traveled the world, recording and publishing local folklore. Lal Bahari Day was one of the very few outside Europe to collect the folk tales of his own people. The stench of men. The Rakshasi's cry of "Hi, my Kai" might remind you of a similar line from the English fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk. The giant, smelling Jack, says, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Apparently, monsters really like to shout things when they get a whiff of humanity's stench. And Lafcadio Hearn's translation of the Goblin Spider, which was like day... Hang on, I gotta check. Day 9, I think. A goblin, having but half a body and one eye, enters a room which a man is hiding and says, Haitokusai. The word translates into, there is a smell of man. And that is the end of today's story. 2 giant stories in one day. You guys are lucky. And well, I hope you come back for day 23. And like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Have a happy Halloween, and I will see you next time. Bye!